Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Pike on Air. I am your host, Pike. We have another beautiful individual joining us on today's episode. The man has made his mark. He's had a presence. You could almost say that he's been slapping sticks with a couple of people because he's just been doing some fantastic things in the bot lane in the LCO under two different names. But right now, let's get him in. It is Styx, the man himself. How are you doing, brother?
Hi, hello, I'm good, man. How are you, Pike?
I'm really good. I've been waiting a while. We've been talking about this for a little bit too. Like, I think I put out a post a while ago and you were like, yeah, man, I'd be keen. I was like, ooh, all right, let's get a bit of Styx action going. But, mate, we got you on the show. I'm super chuffed for that. How are you doing? It's also, let's just jump straight into it. It's week 3 of LCO, right? Like, we've been feeling pretty good. Ion's had such a great showing. How are you feeling in LCO?
Yeah, I think I'm feeling pretty good about where we are. Definitely like starting off week 1 against Kanga, who, is probably one of the weaker teams in the LCO is quite a good sort of game to have at the start. It's a nice confidence booster to sort of get a good clean win and sort of get some belief in the team going before you get some of those tougher matchups. Like obviously we just unfortunately fell down to Bliss the other day, who are a very, very good team, but we still sort of have that belief going into week 3, coming up against teams that are still strong, like Antic we've got next week, but I don't think are quite as strong as Bliss, where I think we've got a really good shot at sort of taking it to them. So yeah, feeling pretty good right now about where we are.
It's funny, like, because I've put you guys in like the top 4, right? And I think the big reason I've done that is for that exact reason. Like, yes, you went up against Bliss, and Bliss are definitely like that #1 team. We know their scrims are insane. The just the names alone is almost terrifying to look at. But you guys held your own so well, and I think that's why I put you there, is because even in the hardest matchup of the entire round robin, you guys looked so good right up until it didn't. Is literally what I
Yeah.
said in Skimmy's ear. I was just like, Ion's looking really good. Just until they didn't, and then Bliss just took over. But again, that wasn't to you guys. That was just Bliss being like, I would say, like another category above. But to hold your own in that instance, you must be feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah, I definitely felt good that we sort of got 2 clean early games against them where we managed to get really good advantages, particularly in the bot lane where I think Bliss is the strongest. Like Violet Aladoric, they've been to Worlds together before. They're probably like a top 2 or 3, OS bot lane pairing of all time. I
Yeah.
mean, when you think of like, Raze and Isles and Legacy and like King Destiny and Reindeer and like all these titans, like those two are definitely up there. So it felt good that we didn't sort of get whooped by them in the bot lane, and we
Yeah.
even managed to get a kill or two off of gank, and yeah, it felt good. And like you said, it was looking really good until it didn't. And with a team like Bliss, like the quality of players they have and the experience they have, like they're all vets
Yeah.
and they've got great game experience and composure that like they just, even when they're like playing from behind, they know what they need to do on the map to get those advantages back and swing the game. And that's sort of like definitely was the difference in the
Yeah.
series.
No, it definitely was. But I don't want to talk about Bliss. I want to talk about you. I want to talk about Ion. Like, let's talk about, like, you've just joined this roster as well. You came over from Kanga. How are you finding Ion? Are you liking being under the tutelage of Latte, the owner over there? Are you enjoying your teammates?
Yeah, for sure. The reason initially that I sort of was seeking a move to Ion originally is last split. Obviously, they had Doraemon and Foreigner as their top jungle, and those two guys I'm actually pretty good friends with. I've played tournaments with both of them before. I've played a couple tournaments with Doraemon because he's also in Melbourne with me. Obviously, um, when you're in the same city, there's only so many Halo players that you can try and throw together for LAN tournaments, and we won a LAN tournament together at the end of last year, so we became pretty good mates. And I also think they're really good players, so I was sort of looking for that stable, strong top side to be able to flourish in the bot lane a bit more than I was on Kanga, and that's not like a diss to Kanga, but there were obviously some roster changes that started happening at the end of Split 1, like Invictus obviously couldn't play anymore, so they had to find a new jungler and stuff like that, and Invictus and I are really good friends. I think he's a really good player, and when he couldn't play anymore, I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's time to sort of look for greener pastures in a way. And so, yeah, I reached out to Ion and sort of said, hey, like, what's the deal with you guys? And they were sort of open to me joining. Thankfully, it's been pretty good. Latte he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
He's a pretty funny guy. He's very full on, very energetic. He reminds me a bit of you, Pike, in that he's just sort of he's always one of those energizer bunnies that's just like always on the go, always doing stuff, always motivated. So it's been good. Definitely the big difference with Ion is that there's not really a big support staff at Ion, whereas at Kanga, we had Noah, our manager, and then we had Parsa as a sort of like mental health and performance coach, and we had Nova and Golden, and we had all these like great guys and gals surrounding us. Whereas with Latte and Ion, it's a bit more like hands off or a bit more independent. I'm not going to say whether that's better or worse, but like it is, I guess, a change of pace in that it's less intense.
Yeah, so they're sort of giving you that drive to sort of push, but I think they're also such a new org as well. We know Kanga took over the legacy roster like a couple of years back, so they've had a bit more of a standing, I think. Which, in my opinion, if you've had a standing in the league for a while, I feel like you sort of have a good support network, whereas Ion is still finding their feet.
Yeah, for
Not to
sure.
say that, like, at the same time, like, I've also offered a lot of services to a lot of teams, being like, if you guys need someone, even like someone who's there as like a mental health capacity, is something that I've always taken a big interest in. I think it's finding the right people, right? Like, Parser can't join every org, is the hard part, but how do you get 7 more passers out there to help keep
Mm.
the players like feeling positive and like not break down in their mental and stuff? So I sort of see that, right? And like I can sort of play devil's advocate and say like it's a hard job to find in someone too. Um, but I love that note, and I want to talk about that. Do you think there's a need for more people like that? Obviously, you say it'd be nice to have it. Do you think there is a need though for more support people in the background in all orgs? I would even say.
I definitely think so. 100%. I think when you sort of look at, I guess, traditional physical sport, professional
Mm,
sports like basketball or AFL or anything like that. I mean, their support staff is so extensive
mm,
because it's such a like these athletes are performing to such a high level and there's such high stakes involved with it that like they sort of have almost every bit of their lives micromanaged to try and like optimize their performance. And I definitely think that there are some takeaways from being able to translate that to esports, and that obviously like having a nutritionist and and physios and strength and conditioning coaches aren't as important in esports because that's not really a huge part that
mm,
ties into performance, although diet actually is pretty important as well.
yeah.
But stuff like mental health coaching and other support services and like having people to be able to talk to is like just the same as it is in professional physical sports as it is in esports. Like they're still the same people, they just play a different type of game, and so they're still going to have the same mental health and coaching problems. So there's no reason why that support staff shouldn't extend to esports. I think it's really important.
It's actually so funny you say that as well, because have you seen recently on Twitter the Shocks, the host from the LEC and Worlds and stuff as well? She was just recently on a Belgium
Yeah, I
TV
saw
show,
that. Yeah.
and they interviewed her being like, "Oh, so what's it like being a female in like gaming?" And she's just like, "Good," like, and it's sort of like the reason I bring that up is it's such a I think there's still that stigma on esports, right? There's still so much that people don't understand about it. They're
Yeah,
still treating it
100%.
like it's this new, like really new baby sort of thing. Like, nah, it's not that important. But I think we are getting to, I would say, even in OS, we are getting to that capacity where it is important. It is actually a crucial thing to look after our players, especially at a pro level. And if they're not given those opportunities, how can we expect them to perform at their best when we hit to an international stage? And I think Korea, Korea's been a huge advocate of that. China as well. I think even the uh, what's the Brazil? Where
TV
this,
lol.
yeah, like even them as well. Like they've got these huge support networks because I guess they do have a bigger fan base. But
Mm.
because of that, they're giving them so much tools to succeed.
Yeah.
So I think if we started sort of trying to drive that as well, and I think that comes down to a lot more. Again, it's the money factor. There's always going to be that money factor, but if there's that passion behind it too, in which we're definitely seeing a lot more of, that passion is what's going to help us get people in those positions where eventually they will get into a paid role that they'll be able to do a lot more of. So it's a bit of an interesting dynamic. I think we are at a change of tides. Would you actually? I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Do you think we're at a bit of a crossroads when it comes to esports? Do you think it is going to be improving sooner rather than later?
It's kind of tough to be able to comment on that because obviously, like, again, same with professional sports, with esports, like every sport is different. It has a different sort of atmosphere to it, and they're all in different stages of development and have different amounts of funding to them. So like you can't really. I guess it's hard to comment on them in general.
Yeah.
But I would say that a lot more people are starting to realize in the last couple years the importance of particularly mental health services and support services in professional sports, and realizing that these things are critical to the continued success of esports as a business. I mean, if you look at, like, for example, take the whole Evil Geniuses situation with Danny, their star
Yeah.
AD carry, a couple years ago, where it sort of there was this huge scandal on the way that he was treated, and the mental health issues that he had from that, and still continuing to have to this day,
Mm.
sort of thing, where I guess the org owners didn't really understand that these players are just as susceptible to these problems as traditional athletes are, and that this needs to be taken seriously. It's not a joke, and
Mm.
video games just isn't for kids and adolescent teens that are locked in their room anymore. It's a
Mm.
whole booming billion-dollar industry,
Yeah.
and it needs to be taken seriously and treated as such.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. Like, it is such a big industry. If we don't give it that level of respect and at least filter that down from the top down to our players and the people that are actually making it a success, then there's not much point in really trying to support it, right? Like, it's if you're not seeing it from the top and it's not coming down, will we get the right stuff at that base level, right? And it's about sort of the growth from the bottom too. Like, you need to have people here to make these people successful too. So
Yeah.
I totally agree, and I think, yeah, like you said, other sports, they're not considering that we're all humans, we're all people. We should all have the same sort of treatment, and at least be given the same sort of opportunities too. And I think esports falls under that category as well. So I like that, but I want to move away from that. I've talked about the financial side of esports so many times. It's actually it's a boring subject for me. I'm not going to bore you with it. I want to know a little bit more about you. Let's look at your journey. I'd love to talk about your goals, maybe your aspirations within League. Obviously, you've got a lot of things going on outside, and we'll touch on that in a bit. But what do you plan to do with League of Legends, man? You're in the pro spot. Where could we see you?
Um. Yeah. It's kind of funny that it's a funny question because I've thought about this a lot in the last 6 months because originally, Um, when I was a teenager, and I've been playing League for a long time,
Mm,
and when I was a teenager and sort of playing like 1,000 solo queue games a year while I was in high school, and it was like, I'd play every day sort of thing. Like, I wanted nothing more than to be the best and follow that pro career. I used to watch a lot of OPL and
mm,
see all the big names, Swiper and Swiffer and Destiny, and like, oh, who else? I mean, Tally's one of my best friends now, but like 6 7 years ago, I used to watch him on the
yeah.
OPL, and just wish to be like him. So it's pretty funny. But yeah, when I was a teenager, it was like there's nothing more I wanted to do. It was like, I want to make this my career. I want to make money out of this. I want to play in international tournaments. I want to go to an arena and play in front of thousands of people, sort of thing. And I guess after you graduate high school, and you start sort of doing uni, and you start doing real big, like, normal career things, and
Mm,
you realize, like, obviously there's a life that has to come after esports, and that people can't stay in the show forever. That I felt like while I'm doing uni right now, if I got into the pro scene, and I have, that I would never sort of put it above uni, and I'd sort of like put my professional career that I'm going to be doing from my uni degree above my pro play. And if pro play happened to interfere with my uni career, then I'd sort of have to let it drop to the wayside. And luckily, it hasn't really interfered that much yet, because obviously the split timings this year, LCO plays pretty much earlier than every other league because we have to go to the PCS. In that split one was sort of in my summer holidays before uni, and split two now I'm almost going into my winter break for uni, so it's like I can actually play and scrim and spend time on it. Whereas like if I was playing like a month or two ago, like I was on clinical placement, like I would just be in the trenches because I'd be so exhausted, and
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have time to commit to that sort of thing. So yeah, I guess like my position with where I want to go for league now is, as long as it doesn't interfere with uni, look, we'll take it where it goes. If I get to go to PCS somehow, that'd be awesome. And like obviously getting past PCS is a bit of a pipe dream for OCE, but like, you never say die, never say never. But yeah, sort of currently trying to prioritize uni while keeping this as a side thing.
You know what? Like first off the bat, mad respect. I actually love hearing that. It's the first time I think I've actually heard someone say that, where they're like, because we all know everyone else, like esports, especially the pro league and like LCO and all that, it's a side gig. It's a side thing that you can do. Like you get to play games with your mates, and if you're at the pro level, awesome. It's the same sort of deal. But you don't hear people actively being like, I'm not. I'm gonna be here forever, right? Like they're like, yeah, I'm gonna be pro player forever. I'm gonna make world. Like I'm gonna go all the distance. And you're like, fuck yeah, like I love that. That's great. I love the dream, because I'm very similar to that, where I'm like, I've got my big goals. But you don't hear someone being realistic about it, because
Mm.
you don't know if esports or League of Legends tomorrow they're gonna say we're actually gonna cut the servers, guys. Sorry, League of Legends isn't a game anymore. Like you don't know really what the future is, because it is still such a
Mm.
new industry. So I think it's not about having a side plan. It's about making yourself comfortable with where you're at, is maybe the best one. And for you, obviously, that comfortability is you've got a goal of a career that you'd like to do that isn't esports related, but you're still in esports while you're enjoying it. And I think a big mentality for me is, if you're not enjoying something, uh, then why do you do it, right? Like why are you there? Like simple. So I
Yeah.
love that, and I think that's it's really admirable too. Like you don't hear, like I said, many people say that. They're just like, yeah, man, I'm just gonna be a pro player and be the best. I'm like, cool. What are you doing on the side that's helping you survive? They're like, oh yeah, I work a full-time job. You're like, all right, like there you go. So you can't be a full-time esports player. It's just unrealistic right now. So I love that, man. I think I've really valued education. Like I've done my degree. I've had a blast with it. My day job is what I did at my degree. Um,
You met
I,
your partner through it?
sorry?
You met your partner through it?
How'd you know that?
You told me like last week on stream.
Ah!
Remember?
Yeah, I did. Whoops.
I didn't just read your mind. I'm like,
I was about to say,
actually,
holy shit, this guy knows everything about me.
you can't get away from me, Pike.
No, yeah, I do remember that actually. Yeah, no, so yeah, that's exactly right. Like the people you meet in real life can influence you in esports as well. It's sort of like what you told me just before. Like you have your beautiful partner that you've been with for quite a while, and they're not huge into esports, but they understand your passion for it. So they know that that's still somewhat of priority for you. So it's the same with my partner. So she now games with me, and she curses me every day for it, for getting her into it. But whoops, it be
Blessing and a curse, mate. Blessing and a
blessing and a
curse.
curse. Our bot lane duo, immaculate. It always pops off. But no, I think that's really good, man. And I'd love to know, if you don't mind us telling. Well, what are you studying? Like, what are you doing? What do you want to do?
Yeah, so I am studying a Bachelor of Applied Science in Medical Radiations, but basically the short way of saying is I'm doing medical imaging. So X-rays, CT scans, MRIs, all those sort of scans. I'm learning and being trained in and how to do them, and then yeah, I graduate in June. I'm in my final year now, and I'll be a qualified. It's called a radiographer, is what the
Ooh,
name of the person that does the scans. And so hopefully, yeah, I'll be able to get a job straight out of my internship, sort of in a hospital or a clinic, and be able to start my career there.
that's awesome, man. So, yeah, you get to see inside people.
I
No wonder
do,
you.
yes.
No
I
wonder you could
see
read my
some
mind.
crazy things.
Yeah. Okay. What's the weirdest thing you've seen, like on a scan or something like that? I'm genuinely curious now. Have people? Because obviously you can get scans of when people put things inside themselves,
Oh
or
yes,
they
yes,
eat
you can.
something.
Yeah,
What's the
I think
weirdest thing?
one from placement, like I don't know if I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but we had a patient come down from one of the wards in the hospital, and the referral just said foreign body, so it just means that someone has either, swallowed something or put something in themselves or had something come into their body somehow. And I didn't know what it was, but it was an abdomen X-ray. So I was looking at his tummy, and he wasn't a very talkative chap, but yeah, I got him down to the table and took the X-ray, and I was like, that is a Zippo lighter. That is a lighter. Yep.
Oh shit!
He has swallowed a whole lighter. So that is, wow.
You gotta
Kudos
get
to
that
that
out
guy.
too.
Yeah, it's like that can't be comfortable sitting in your stomach, man. That thing's like got jagged edges in it and metal, and
It's
I
also
mean,
like explosive. Like
yeah,
you
it's
got
like
stomach acid. Like
that
that.
thing. Hope it doesn't catch fire or anything or explode while it's inside you, because that would be very unpleasant. But
Fuck. Did he have to go
yeah,
for
that was
surgery?
yeah. He had that removed in surgery. So
Fucking hell, man. I was really hoping you'd be like, yeah, some guy had some weird shit shoved up his ass.
oh, that definitely happens too.
I can
But
imagine
I
that
thought I was
happened.
like, I'll keep it like a little more PG sort
Nah,
of
okay,
thing
let's
for the
go
show.
dark. What's the darkest thing now?
Okay, you want me?
What's
Okay.
something real scuffed that someone's shoved up their ass? This is the pure
Um.
entertainment side for me. I don't even care about the show right now.
Okay, I've seen a beer bottle.
Okay.
Gone way up there, and one of my tutors at uni, she was saying that on Christmas Day one year, this couple had come in, and yeah, so basically the man of the couple had received a present for Christmas Day,
Oh,
and they had been
lovely.
trying out their new present and accidentally misplaced it in some sort of area. And yeah, so basically they went to take the image, and the image is fine, and it showed up. It was, it was all the way up there,
Right there.
and the doctor reported on it and was like, "Oh, hey, this image is kind of blurry. Like, was the patient breathing while you were doing this? Like, you'll need to retake it because I can't, clearly see the thing inside them." And yeah, my tutor had to go, actually, they're not breathing. That's the thing inside them still turned on and vibrating, causing the blur on the image. So that poor guy was sitting in the emergency department with that thing just humming away inside him, like all the way up the poop chute. And I was like, that dude cannot have had that is a Christmas present for sure.
That's yeah. Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Won't be doing that again.
Oh,
You know what?
crazy stuff.
Props to that guy though. Props to that guy. The
Yeah,
balls.
he's you can't say he's not an explorer,
I'd 100% be like, I'm sorry, babe, we're not going to the hospital. This is staying up here forever. I'm never shitting. It's done.
Rather die of shame
Yeah.
than go to the hospital.
bury me somewhere far away. I don't want to do it. Okay, let's get back on topic. But that was, I love that. That's gonna be. I'm making that a clip or something. That's too good. Oh shit. So looking to go outside esports as well. Would you ever stay in esports? Like, let's say you finish your degree, which you're about to do. Would you ever stick around? Like, if you could do it in the evenings, would you still potentially play, or would you rather go cold turkey and just be like, you know what, I'll play for fun? Like a lot of other pros have done that too.
I think honestly, like currently, obviously, as you said, like a lot of the players in the LCO recognize now that it's more of a part-time job than an actual career sort of pathway. And for me, like that's definitely true. I sort of, it's not to say that I don't take it serious, but I definitely treat the LCO more as like a hobby and a side gig sort of thing. And so, I'm happy to sort of play for peanuts. That McDonald's salary, like that doesn't really bother me because, I think with my career path that I'm currently working towards, I think I'll be financially stable.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I find it fun getting to compete in front of a couple thousand people. It's exhilarating, and getting to see yourself on stream sort of thing. It's a pretty cool thing, and a lot of people go, "Oh, yo, that's so cool," when I tell them about it. And so I think that enough for me is, I guess, a bit of the payoff for playing LCO. And if I can continue doing that and get on another team and keep playing or stay with Ion or whatever happens, in the future, I'd be more than happy to do that. And I've also got sort of like that coaching thing. Like I coached RMIT in the OLI, and I found that really, like, that was really fun. And especially sort of winning it my first time coaching, and winning a tournament was pretty fun. And So like if I could continue doing that as well in the future, like I'd be more than happy to, because like it's really fun.
I'm glad you brought up the amateur scene. I think maybe that leads me into like a good little conversation because you have come from like the amateur. You've done your coaching. I believe you've played in a couple as well. Now moving up into the big leagues. Do you think there should be a bit more of a focus on the amateur league? With how it is, because I think it's actually last count with Evelyn playing yesterday or the day before, sorry, on LCO. I think we're up to 8 players from the amateur league and the university circuit joining the LCO this split alone, which is pretty impressive considering the amount of players we've had just continuously rotating around. Do you think it's important?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's been one of the largest reasons I think why OCE has faltered a lot in the last couple years is that there hasn't been a consistent pathway for talent to develop.
Mm.
We don't have the resources and the facilities in place to foster homegrown talent, and when we do have that homegrown talent, you know, it gets sniped by other regions and they go over there and they play for actual money because like that's the only way they can make a living off this sort of thing. And so I absolutely think it's like it's critical for OCE potentially surviving in the next couple of years is trying to get a pathway like that put in place. And obviously now with the ODT and the revised OLI, which was, you know, formerly just called the InterVarsity League, there's a really good opportunity for players to sort of transition from, you know, being able to represent their school or their uni or whatever, and then try and move into that sort of amateur scene, and then obviously, as you said, like, you know, 8 or 9 players now have moved from the ODT to the LCO in just one split. You know, like it's that that pathway is crucial because those players don't get that competitive experience. They don't get the eyes on them. They don't get people recognizing and seeing, you know, their abilities and their talents, and then, you know, it's hard when that's not there because then they don't get picked up.
Yeah.
So absolutely, like I think it's critical, and you see it in other regions. Like they've all got actual academy leagues and you know, sort of resources in place to develop talent, whereas OC is, you know, kind of, I won't say never had that because we had the OCS obviously, but then after OPL shut down we had nothing to replace our academy league.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I totally agree. I think OCS during the OPL times, I think it could have been better. Like I think we had the foundation there at
Yeah,
those
absolutely.
times. We had the foundation, but I think they just didn't know what to do when shit hits the fan. Um, Now that shit's not hitting the fan and we're starting to clean it up a little bit, and there's a bit of like a sort of a shitter cane going around, and we're starting to wipe it all up. I think the reason why I'm probably still so invested in a lot of it is for that same sort of reason. I think it is going to set us up for the future. Like it's like that point you said before as well. Like you're not going to be here forever. You're not going to be in esports forever. I know I'm not going to be in esports forever. I'd like to be here for the next 10 to 20 years though. I'd like to be an old man still casting games and be like, look at that young blood going for it.
Pike in the LPL next year. Thoughts?
I'd love to do LPL, dude. I'd love to do LPL. If they could get me for LPO, I'd be chuffed. But
Well, you wouldn't be the first Australian caster to do it, and I don't think you'd be the last either.
look, so I'm training casters as well. Like I'm training the new talent coming up too, and I'm like, guys, let's start getting shit going. But no. That's obviously LPL's my next goal. I've hit LCO and I'm fucking loving it. LCO was always like here. I want to go LPL so I can bring back the LCO and bring that up. Because that's always my goal is always to come back down to LCO and keep bringing it up. Is because homegrown, man, like that's the whole
Hmm.
point. Is how can we bring what's over there to here? If I can go into LPL and get kitty level status, fuck yeah, I'd go stream 5 nights a week and then I'd come back to LCO and cast 2 nights a week and then I'd bring all those viewers in. Like that's what I'd want to do, right? Like I'm a bit of a patriot kind of guy like that.
Hey,
Um,
dude, if you want to be like Kitty, you got to start doing more Ari cosplays. I got to tell you, bro, that's where the money is. That's how you get your brand up. Ari and Jinx cosplays.
I'll do it. I'll do it. I've cross dressed before. I'll cross dress again.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
You like see it? I got a cute maid outfit actually with your name on it for
Oh,
you,
fuck yeah.
like for me to
Yeah, I'll
wear
do
for
that.
you. Yeah, I got you. Nah, maybe. Am I lying? Am I lying? Am I
Hey,
pulling
look,
shit?
dude, I'm happy to wear it. If you want to wear it for me, like,
How
I'm
about
not
we both
complaining.
wear one? Would you?
Sure, I mean, like we can do a cute little duo stream.
Oh, well, you could do that for LCO as well. Out of
Oh
nowhere.
yeah, potential.
I'll give you the inside track though. I'll give you something interesting. I'm looking at getting an outfit for the LCO really soon. Very specific one. Let's just say they've got plans for me, and I'm like all for it, and I've said, yep, let's do it. I'm keen, but I'm getting an outfit soon.
I see. Is I'm assuming it's league related.
No,
No?
no. I can't say
How is
anymore. I'm
okay,
trying to be
alright,
good.
alright,
I'm
alright,
trying to be
alright.
good. But I'm
I don't
giving
want
you
to
that's
spoil.
the
I don't want to
inside
spoil.
scoop.
I don't want to
It's
spoil.
the inside scoop. So no, I think I think the goal and back onto the amateur scene is my goal has always been to help that grow too, because like you said, if we don't have that clear pathway, we're not going to see flourishing talent. And I think why I love the amateur scene is we're now getting a high school league. So there's a high school league moving into an intervarsity league, moving into an ODT, which is just the amateur, then into a pro league. Like that's career level advantages that we'd get. Like we would find 14, 15-year-old kids that are like, yeah, I like playing league. Cool. Do you want to be in the LCO in like 2 years time? Because we'll make it happen. Like we'll train you up and get you good. And they'll be like, oh yeah, that sounds like fun. Sweet. That's a child prodigy that, not the right phrasing, but will groom them to be the best. Not, I said it wasn't the great phrasing, right? But you know what I mean. Like we're training people up who are interested and want to be at that level. And I think that's why other leagues have been so successful, like Rocket League, CS as well. Like they've just made such big names for themselves, but they've got players playing it early on, building into it, and then they're like, sweet, in 5 years' time, I could actually be the best. Let's go play it professionally. So I think League just needs to find that again, which I think we're on the right track for. But yes, we can move on from that and move on from grooming children into playing League of Legends for us. I'd like to know, I've got a couple questions here, but we've actually been very good. Usually, I'm very on script with my questions. I've lost complete track of where we are. So, wait, it's halfway point. It's time for a game, Styx. Even better.
Oh
It's time
boy,
for a game.
I love a game.
All right. This game is called Guess That Pro. It's one of my favorite games because I get to look at pictures of pro players and they can really describe what they are. So, Styx, are you ready for the first
I'm
pro
ready.
player? It's a bit of an easy one. All right, and here we are. That is your pro player right there.
Is this like any
pro
pro
player? Could be anyone.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that's Jensen.
Jensen.
It's either Jensen or Caps.
You have to pick one. You have multiple guesses. Do you Jensen or Caps?
Is this a current player?
They are a current player.
And like any region?
Any region.
I think it's oh, okay. I'm so split between Jensen and Caps because they've both got that like comb over fluffy brown hair. I'm gonna go Caps.
Locking in?
Yeah, I'll lock in Caps.
You know what? Congratulations. It is indeed
Okay.
Caps.
Yeah, I thought it might be.
I need to get harder players, man, because every single, like, I'm pretty, Shenfire last week nailed it first one. He's just like, yeah, nah, that's my boy. And I was like, fuck, man, how did you know that? It was like his mouth, like the corner of his mouth. And he's just like, yeah, it's my boy Impact. I was like, what the fuck? And you got Caps. I need to pick some harder players. That's what I should do. I've been actively avoiding.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just good, you know. Maybe
yeah,
Shen's
so you know
also
I'll
just
put it
good.
on that. I'll put it on that. You are good because you like. Oh, he's got the comb over. Sort of got that. Yeah, I feel bad for him though. Just, I don't know. Yeah. I'm in the same sort of boat, but I'm at least dealing.
Oh no, dude, totally same. Like, you wear the hair forward.
Yes.
Wear the hair forward.
Yes. Why do you think I wear like, the hair up? Like I get a big forehead, but it still looks very styled and up and good. And I've sort of my barber. Thank you. His name's Mason. Good
Bless
guy.
up. Bless up, Mason.
But no, congratulations. You were successful in guessing that pro. Did you like that? Do you think it could?
Yeah, that was good. That was good. That was fun. I don't think it was. I mean, look, I was definitely like, because I don't know. When you look at pro players enough, because I watch a lot of pro play. Like, you sort of, I don't know. If you gave maybe like a player that had less distinctive hair, like I feel like Caps and Jensen, like they're the only two players I can think of that have like combed over very thin brown hair. Whereas like I don't know, if you gave me something like, oh, who's a player who's got like stock standard hair, like I don't know, like double lift or something, or like I don't know, yeah, someone like that, like where it's just like that hairstyle is on like tons of people, like, and it's like it could be anyone. Whereas like with
I did Chovy for someone, and they were just like, that could be any fucking player. And I was like, yeah, it could be. And I was
Toby,
like,
my
gotta ask
goat.
questions, get the questions. But no, I'm gonna have to start picking harder players because everyone's guessing them way too quickly. Or I should pick really obscure photos. Or I should mash the photos.
Yeah,
Either
you could
both
like
are
blur
good.
them a bit if you wanted.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You're giving me ideas. I like it. But no, well done. That usually the games usually signify it's halfway. We're about 30 minutes in. We've done pretty good, Styx. We've done pretty good. So now, Styx, I think what I want to do is I want to get us to know you. Usually, I'll actually ask you that at the start, where you tell us about yourself. I'm putting it in the middle because I like throwing things and throwing people for a loop. So, Styx, tell us about yourself.
Yeah. Oh, geez, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Telling you about myself. I'll tell you my whole life story. Yeah, I guess I'll sort of say it in a bit of a league sense
All right.
at first. Like I got started playing League of Legends in 2011, so
Cool.
just before season one. So yeah, I've been playing for 13 years now, which
Oh my
is
god.
a long time. My brothers got me into it. They were sort of playing it with their friends, and it looked really fun. So I got involved into it, and yeah, League's sort of been a big part of my life ever since.
Mm.
But I also really like my normal sports as well. I guess you would say like your physical sports.
Mhm.
I play like hockey, basketball, netball, stuff like that, and I follow a lot of professional sport as well. Like I'm really big into AFL, NBA,
Mm.
the Premier League. Um, I'll watch anything. Like I'll watch the tennis if it's on. I'll watch the cricket it's on. Like I just love sport. So that's obviously a big part of my life. And yeah, as I said, I'm doing medical imaging at RMIT and really loving it and about to graduate. Yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell, I guess.
All right. If you had to pick any sport that you love and it had to take over League of Legends and you'd be able to go pro at it, like you would be able to go pro, what sport would it be?
Like if I had the skill, like if I was good enough at it.
Like, let's say you wake up tomorrow, League of Legends is out of your brain, you can't even control a mouse anymore, like coherently, but you can play a particular sport at the best possible level at like Australia or worldwide. What sport would it be?
Okay, it'd definitely either be basketball or football, like soccer. Like basketball, just because like I used to play so much basketball. I still play it now, but like I used to play it so much, and it's a great spectator sport and
Mm,
that sort of thing. But like with football and or I guess I'll call it soccer in this sense is that like it's a global sport.
yeah.
Everyone in the world pretty much watches football, and there's these huge international events like the World Cup that gets watched by billions of people.
Mm,
And like it's just the money, the fame, like the ability to play in just in front of huge crowds and huge atmosphere is like I think it's like unparalleled to any other sport. So I'd probably choose soccer. Like
all right.
it's a pretty goated sport.
Okay, I'm gonna flip it again then. If you could be Messi or LeBron, who would you be? That's a big one.
See, look, I appreciate Messi. He's obviously very good at the game that has the round ball,
Mm,
right? And so is LeBron with a different round ball.
two
But the
balls.
thing is, like, if you consider Messi, that guy is short as hell. He's like 5'4", I'm pretty sure, or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, do I wake up tomorrow and be like, I'm famous either way if I go LeBron or Messi. But if
Yeah.
I'm Messi, I'm like short. I'm a midget. Whereas LeBron, I'm 6'8", 6'9" now. Like I'm a mammoth man. I think I'd rather be LeBron.
I'd probably be LeBron. Who makes more? Do you know?
Oh, it'd be Messi.
Yeah,
It'd be Messi.
Messi's.
Yeah.
Yeah, multiple.
Like not just from like the contracts and stuff, but the brand deals that a lot
Yeah.
of football players have is like literally insane. Like not to say that obviously LeBron doesn't have his own huge brand deals and would be earning hundreds of millions of dollars, but like Messi would probably be closing in on a billion. So
Yeah, fuck that. I mean, that'd be fantastic, and I'd love that, but fuck that.
yeah.
No, that's cool, man. I love that. I love knowing other people like follow other things. Like you're not just a gamer through and through. Um, and I think that's important. I think there needs to be that balance, right? Like I'm a bit of a gamer through and through, but I think that's because I'm also similar. I used to play a lot of sports. I was a very active kid. Um, and then I just sort of I fell into what I like to do. Like, I'm still an active guy. Like, I go to the gym. I like to go for walks and runs and stuff. Like, I'm always doing something. I guess that's probably the crackhead mentality that I've got going on. But, like, I like that. I like being able to sit here and just vibe in shit. Like, it's hard to do that at the gym because there's always someone bigger than me, and it makes me feel insecure.
Pike, I've got a question.
Yeah, hit me.
What's your favorite day to hit at the gym?
My favorite day to head to the gym.
No, hit the gym. Like what muscle group?
Oh, okay. You're gonna hate me for this, and I'm gonna get probably a lot
Don't
of
say
hate in the
legs.
comments. No,
Don't
I
say
fucking
legs.
hate legs, man. I don't train legs. My legs are just stacks. I've got tree trunks.
Same.
It's fine. I don't have to worry about it. Nah, man. I'm always an arms and chest guy.
Yes, dude. I'm not gonna hate you. Arms and chest is the
No.
best, dude.
My problem is I don't have specific days. I don't have like a pull or push day. I don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
a chest or arms day. I just go into the gym and train whatever the fuck I feel like training at that
Yeah,
time. I have no training possibilities. And people are going to be like, oh, Pike, like, you're not getting big. Nah, bitch. I've been losing mad weight. I've been pumping more iron than I have in like 6 months out of like 5
Yeah,
years.
buddy.
Like, all my numbers are going up/down. Like, it's because I'm like, oh, if I just train whatever I want, I'll see the results that I want. And like, yeah, man, I'm being.
Hey, don't be shy. Give us a gun show.
Nah.
Ah,
You're gonna
come
give me one.
on.
You're gonna give me
Yeah.
one.
I mean, it's okay.
You give me one, I'll give you one.
Alright,
One
yeah,
arm
here we
each.
go.
Fuck. See, mine's not that good.
I mean, mine's not that good either, but like arms are my best thing. But
Alright.
like I'm skinny everywhere else. Like, oh, okay, okay,
Not
wait,
as much
don't mog me,
definition as I
don't
want,
mog
man.
me.
Not as much.
Oh
not
my
as much.
god.
My,
Although it's
my
probably like
chest's-
neither of us are anything compared to like Fire or Dragku. Those guys are like jacked, but
Dude, Churnfire. Have you seen like his shit? He's
yeah,
nuts.
he's built. He's built.
Well, it's
He's
like,
built,
because
bro.
me and him talked a lot about we did a lot of martial arts. Like still does a lot. I did a lot. And I used to train a lot of martial arts. But he's stacked, man. Draku's the most stacked. That guy is a beast. I'm scared of him. His wings, man. His wings. He just does this, and like he looks like he's about to take off like a plane.
Yeah, crazy lat spread.
Fuck, it's so nuts. I kind of like that though. I like that we've got such a really diverse sort of ecosystem in League. Like you have players that just love the gym, but then you got other players that are like not throwing them under bus, but you got like Raze, who's very much like he just looks like a stereotypical gamer, right? I love you, Raze, but you do.
Oh, that's funny.
But you know what I mean? Like there's just such a diverseness to it. And
I'm pretty good mates with his girlfriend. I'm gonna go tell her that immediately. That's good stuff.
If he can flex for me and show me that he is stacked, and he's not.
I don't think he'd disagree with you.
Yeah, like it's my first split at LCO, man. I'm not trying to make enemies. And Race is like, fuck that Pike guy. He keeps saying I'm screwing.
Fuck that guy. Call me a skinny stick.
To be fair, what's he gonna do?
Strong gust of wind will blow him away.
Oh yeah.
I love you, Quinn. Please don't hurt me.
No, we love you, Raze. You are fantastic. Still arguably one of the best AD carry. Okay, actually, that's a good segue, right? That's a good segue. Talk to me about the AD carry pool. Like, you're obviously... How long have you been playing AD carry?
Pretty much since I started playing League.
Okay.
Like, Season 3 would definitely be the first League where I actively, like, sort of started playing the ADC role. So, the first champ that I ever mained was Vayne. So, Vayne came out, like, sometime Season 2, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I just remember playing like a shit ton of Vayne in like Season 3 and Season 4, and then before I got into other ADCs, I was actually a Lucian main for a long time, and my Discord profile was just Lucian for like the longest time. I used to love playing Lucian and stuff like that, and then yeah, I got into Ezreal a couple of years ago and sort of never looked back because I found that like he had such a high skill ceiling that like if you got really good at him, like no one else can play him to the degree you can if you put the time and effort into it, because he's actually quite difficult, even though people consider him like a safe, easy to play ADC because you just sit back and throw skill shots, but you can do so much more with him than people realize, and he does so much more damage than people realize. He's actually like one of the highest early DPS carries in the game. So yeah, I've been playing ADC for a long time.
Okay, I want to come back to this Ezreal point because I find that really interesting. But I want to talk about how do you find the AD carry pool in LCO now as well? That was where I was leading to. Uh,
Hmm.
you had a good showing this week as well. Your Jhin popped off. That 3v3 down in that bot lane was... I actually had that as my play of the night. And then they said,
Until Violet
till
pented us, yeah.
Violet got a
It's like,
pentakill. And I was just like,
I know.
fuck, man,
Yeah.
like, that's... But still, right? How are you finding the pool? Are there any teams that you're super worried about? Let's put Violet aside because that's bliss. Not even worry. How are you finding the rest of the players?
I think, look, I think ADC is the most stacked role in our region. And I think it has been for a while. I think we had quite a strong jungle pool as well, at least in the last couple of years. But yeah, like ADC and just bot lane in general is pretty strong this year. I mean, you've got Violet, and then you've got Raze,
Mm,
and you've got, oh, who else have we got? We've got Lemus. I mean, Lemus
oh,
is, probably like the best ADC we've had in the last year. He's definitely been the most consistent. And then you've got Katsuri, who's, been around the scene and been a really good player for a long time, and Hooper, who's been around for a couple years now. Like, you've got really sort of talented ADCs, so the pool is quite diluted with high tier ADCs. So it's good. It's really good to be able to sort of, almost every time I'm scrimming or playing on stage, I'm playing against a really good quality opponent, and it's like it's actually a nice tough battle. I find, honestly, sometimes, like, if I'm playing solo queue or I'm scrimming and like the lane is just a complete stomp, it's actually kind of boring that the
mm,
other player just is clearly below you in skill level. Like, you don't really get much satisfaction out of that, because it's like, okay, well, Riot's just done really bad matchmaking or something like that. Whereas, like, if you have someone who you know is good, or who's actually giving you a challenge, and you manage to come out on top against them, it's a lot more gratifying, because
mm,
it's, I guess, more fulfilling, self-fulfilling for yourselves, where you're able to think, okay, I've still got it. Like, I've
mm,
got the skills to be able to beat some of the best. Whereas, like, if you stomp a low elo player, you're just like, okay, well, a lot of people could stomp a low elo player.
yeah. I want to get your opinion on that, actually. You've hit me with a really good question. Uh, Smurfing. Do you think... So we know Vanguard's just come out and that's taken third parties off the board, and that's a
Hmm.
great thing. It's probably good for you in high elo. And I've seen a lot less Zeraths that are just trying to one-shot me with a full combo. Do you think Smurfing hinders or improves the game? It's a bit of a big question.
Like, it's tough to say, because I've done a lot of smurfing in
Mm,
my time.
of course you have.
Uh, and the thing is, like, there was a change they made a couple years ago that introduced Smurf Q that detected players that would buy new accounts or level up new accounts and consistently perform really well straight away, and it would just chuck them all into one queue against each other, and then smurfing became a lot less enjoyable, or at least the experience wasn't nearly the same as, and um like, it I guess it died out in a way. Like, smurfing sort of dropped off quite a bit after that change. I think it's not necessarily a bad thing for the game. Obviously, a lot of content creators rely on smurfing content
Mm,
to be able to push their viewership. You see those, like, Iron to Challenger, like, solo queue challenges and stuff
mm,
like that, and um like, I definitely don't think it's necessarily bad for the game, but it's not good. It's sort of just like one of those things where it's like it has its upsides and its downsides to it.
yeah. I I would actually fully agree with that. I think I've been very funny with my streaming and stuff. I've always had people come in who are like, yeah, let's duo, and they're like Diamond Plus, and I'm like, yeah, like I don't like getting boosted. And I've been pretty upfront about that with a lot of people. I've been like, I'm not one of those people that gets boosted because I like the reward of seeing my rank go up by knowing I've put in the work.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm a self gratification kind of guy. So um, that's when I think I used to be very against smurfing. I think it was more so because the further I climbed, the more I saw it, and the more I was just getting giga stomped by these players that clearly weren't like gold and platinum, and I was like, why are these people in my game? Now that I'm going up against them and, like, I guess watching higher level play too, I like going up against them because it's a test. Because now it's me pushing my limits to know, okay, can I actually beat this guy? and I see it more as a mental game rather than the actual game itself.
Mm.
So I think that's where I see smurfing now. Is if someone's in the game smurfing, I'm like, okay, how do I change my train of thought to get the best out of this outcome? One, I'm just gonna watch and learn from them as best I can. Like if I have to VOD review it and see what they were doing different, awesome. That's me learning from them. If I can take the win away from them, awesome. That makes me feel really good, and I can actually feel a little bit more accomplished. So I think the reason I asked that question is I think smurfing's this big question on a lot of people's minds. I think a lot of maybe lower elo people as well think like, oh fuck smurfs, like it makes the game so unenjoyable. But I think there is that mental side to it. I think a lot of players in lower elo and even mid tier elo as well haven't trained themselves to think differently about it enough. Do you think there's a bit of a mental difference there when it comes to maybe smurfing and like low to high elo?
I think absolutely. Like, there's a huge mental aspect to playing against like better players. I mean, it's no secret. Like when I first got high elo a couple years ago, like for example, I obviously knew who Violet was because I watched OPL and LCO, and I knew that he was like a superstar AD carry. And
Mm.
when I first got Halo and started getting matches into him, every single time he would just curb stomp me in solo queue. Like he would just have my number, he would be outperforming me, he'd be solo killing me, like he'd just be making fun of me. And yeah, I use that Violet as an example because that was like I guess he was sort of like my Achilles heel, my white elephant. Whereas like no matter what I did, I just couldn't seem to get the better of him in lane. And I realized that obviously, like translating it to a more broad application, in that it was my mental towards playing against better players who I knew were really good that actually made me play worse and lose to them, rather than the fact that they were actually better than me. And of course, I'm not saying that Violet's not better than me. He is. He's a top 2 AD carry in the region.
Mm.
But in solo queue, like people have good games and bad games, and I've absolutely had games where I've outperformed him now because I've overcome that sort of mental adversity, or I guess that challenge of realizing that they're human and they're going to make mistakes and they're not a perfect player,
Mm.
and that you just as well can have a great game and play well and outperform them. It's just you need to keep focused on your own gameplay rather than worrying about what they're going to do.
So what advice would you give to, besides their focus on your own gameplay, what advice would you give to someone in a lower elo if they were looking to improve? Let's say, let's look at it from a pure gameplay level, and then let's look at it from like getting to LCO sort of level. Like what advice would you have for those players? So let's look at base level. How would you improve
Okay,
as a low elo?
first piece of advice in solo queue is turn nameplates off. Nameplates do nothing but distract you. That was one of the first sort of things I did when like I was sort of asking around, like, oh my god, like how do I play against these better players? Like I feel like when I'm playing against players in my own elo, which like at the time was like master sort of low GM sort of thing, I was like, I can I perform really well and I outperform the other ADCs, but then as soon as I play against a good player, I just get completely dumpstered. And like one of the first pieces of advice is given to me was turn nameplates off. Don't look at them. Don't remind yourself that you're playing against that player. It's
Mm.
your champion versus their champion. Worry about that first, and then the results will come. Like the biggest advice I can give to solo queue players that are looking to grind the ranks and improve is turn nameplates off. Like probably don't even keep champion names on. Just have the blank bar and focus on like your own gameplay and trying to better yourself against the opponents rather than like fighting yourself. Because obviously, like, look, in solo queue I still sometimes will like blame other people on my team when it's probably my fault, and that's like everyone does that.
Yeah.
But as long as you're not blaming the player on the other team and saying, oh, like they're so much better than me, like there's no way that I can win,
Mm.
rather than placing the focus on yourself, then like you'll improve straight away if you just focus on yourself.
I love that advice. It's something I've tried to give to people. Be like, just don't even worry about other people. Like, if you lose the game, you've lost the game. That's all right. LP's made up. Don't worry about it. Go win it back. Like, easy. Just go do it. But you got to, yeah, like you said, you got to improve on yourself first. If you don't look at your gameplay and your skills compared to the next level up, what can you do? What would you then say for someone, let's say in a high school or intervarsity team that are, or even just as someone who's new to the game wants to be a pro player? What advice would you have for them there?
Look, I think the biggest difference maker for me in getting like my foot in the door to play like those sort of like get those opportunities to be able to play in front of like a coach for a team or something, or play in a trial and get those opportunities to actually like get your foot in the door, is that you need to be the one to reach out. And like a lot of the way that I started doing that is that when I started getting into high elo, obviously I'd played amateur, I'd played into varsity already, but that was sort of like when I was diamond master elo. But then when I started getting a little bit higher than that and I'd focus on myself and I started doing improved, I started to get to know people in the scene quite a bit. Like I'd add, people that I knew were high elo or pro players after the game, and chat to them and try and become friends. And obviously like sometimes I became the opposite of friends with people in high elo, and that's just a case of like sometimes I can be a dick in solo queue, sometimes other people can be a dick in solo queue, and then you clash heads, and like that's just the way it goes sometimes. But like the way that I got my foot in the door was just becoming friends with people in the scene, and then like at the end of the season teams start doing trials, and maybe you send a message to a player that you've added and being like, hey, I was wondering, like, are you guys running trials? Can maybe I sort of like watch those trials or even play in them, or like just find out what's going on, that sort of thing. As long as you like reach out and make the first step and sort of put your foot in the door
Mm.
rather than waiting for someone to put your foot in the door, then you'll actually get those opportunities.
100%. Like that's even from like like a hosting position as well. That's how I did it. That's literally all I did. Is I got my start. I was casting for the first 2 years solo on my stream for 2 years before I got like an actual like gig with like Sumsoft.
Damn.
And then I
Damn.
got in and I was like, hey, I'm gonna be the best here. And they were like, oh, what? I'm just like, I'm gonna be the best. Put me on. It'll be the best show you ever have. And they were like, that's really confident and cocky, dude. I'm just like, put me on. And because I'd done so much work solo, they're just like, yeah, shit, okay. Yeah, you're pretty good, man. You're pretty good. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty good. Put me on more. They're like, okay, cool. Then they moved over to like MCOM. So MCOM for a while, and I was like, all right, I'll do this. And I was doing this all for free. Like you have to just
Mm,
put your hours in. And I think that's my
yeah.
advice I'd give for anyone looking to do like entertainment or gaming, like the pro level as well. You got to put your hours in. You, like you said, meet the right people. You got to sacrifice some time, and you got to make sure that your name's first on the lips. And that's actually what Hysterics told me because I was doing coaching with him for a little bit. And he's just like, you need to have your name along with the words up and coming. If you're not an up and coming name, if no one knows who you are, no one's going to care. Like, you need to put it out there and you need to work
Mm.
hard for it. I was like, okay, cool. I'll take that advice. And then within not even like 6 months, LCO for me. From that
I,
advice.
I, I completely agree. I mean, like, there's that old saying that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And I think, like, look, it's not necessarily that, some people aren't going to be inherently more talented than you, and that's whatever. But like, if that person sits on their laurels and doesn't have the passion to improve and strive to make a better version of themselves, and you start from, wherever you are, and you have that passion to be better and reflect and work on what you can work on, like every single time it will beat out like raw talent that doesn't want to do anything about it.
Yeah. And I think that's such a big message that anyone could take because if the message I love from that is if someone's done it before, it can be done again. And I think I
Yeah,
even
for
said that
sure.
to Schönfire last week. I was just like, look, if someone's done this, that means it can be replicated. You just need to go learn how they did it originally. And like same with League, if you want to be a pro player, go talk to pro players. Be like, hey, how'd you do this? What can I work on? Can you help me? And ask for that support. And I think that's what I'm loving about the O scene at the moment is it's feeling less gatekeepy. I think there was a lot of gatekeeping going on. It was
Oh yeah, for sure.
a lot of players being like, I won't play with this team unless I have these two other players. Like, I don't think we're seeing that as much. I think we're starting to see a little bit more maturity out of our players. Be that they're actually growing up and realizing that they're not high school kids anymore, like trying to like punch each other or some shit.
Not just even gatekeeping, but there's been a lot of nepotism in the region,
Yes.
in like the last couple of years, and like you know, you don't need to name names because like it's not like there are specific like 1, 2, 3 culprits that do it, but like there's just a lot of like, you know, I know this guy and I'm mates with him and he might not be the best fit for my team, but because we're friends, like I'm gonna put him on my team anyway
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And I think, look, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does, you know, over time hinder the region
Yeah.
because you aren't really putting the people that deserve the opportunities necessarily 100% of the time in the spots that, you know, other people might deserve.
Yeah. Oh, you said the exact words. I guess I never saw it as nepotism. I guess, but it is because I've always assumed like nepotism was like family related or orientated, but it's not. You're right. It is actually like if you're buddy buddy with someone, you're more likely to get it because they'll give you the word to say, hey, I'll help you get that shot. So I think it is. Yeah. So it is a bit of a mix of gatekeeping and nepotism, and I've never thought of it like that. So that's very eye opening, and I like that. It's an interesting take. We'll have to see though.
Thank
I
you.
think it is changing though. I think it is evolving and it is improving. I think I'm still I'm still wanting orgs to start being a little bit tougher on players and saying, hey, if you want to be a pro, you need to suck it up and play with players you might not be good with or at least mesh with. That's also the difference of being a team player is if you're here to be at a professional level, you have to be professional in all aspects. That also means getting along with your teammates. You don't have to like your teammate, but you need to be able to play with your teammate. So I'm on the very much like sadly, I know you're a player, but I'm like, if a player came to me like, I don't want to play with this guy, I'm like, all right, then you need to figure it out or you're gone. Like, because that player hasn't come to me and complained, you've complained. Like, this is a problem that you're having. Let's try and find a resolution rather than causing shit and stirring up shit. And I think we're seeing a lot of that right now. And I think you know the drama that we're sort of looking at for that in particular, currently in the scene. Uh, and I think that's where I sort of draw the line a little bit personally, and that's not everyone's
I can
cup of tea.
respect that. I can respect that.
Yeah,
I've definitely like I'm not going to say that I'm not guilty of being like, oh, like, you know, I'd really rather not play with this person if there's like someone else that really deserves a spot just because like I don't think we'd work well together sort of thing. Like I don't necessarily think that in going back to the nepotism point that like if someone says, "Oh, like I'm friends with this guy and we work really well together. He might not be the best like player available, but like we work really well together, so let's get him on the team." I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing because a lot of times team cohesion and getting along together works really well in meshing with actual teamwork in game and
sure.
sort of team performance. So it's not necessarily that it's a bad thing, but I think overall like 9, you know, 8 or 9 times out of 10 if you can learn to work with pretty much anyone,
Yep.
if you have the better player instead of your best mate, like your team will still just be better.
Yeah. I think
And
that.
yeah, again, like I'm not guilty.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like I can definitely see your point and where you're coming from.
Oh, and I can see yours as well. Like if you do have that comfortability, and I think that also comes with the age of the scene, right? I think the best example I can give for someone who I think is embodying my opinion of it is Biopanther right now.
Everyone loves Biopanther, bro.
Well,
Everyone loves that guy.
it's also just like he doesn't want to stir the boat, but he's also just like if someone new's on the team, I'm just gonna figure out how to work with it. Like he's even if there is someone out there that he's got a bit of beef with, he's just like fuck the beef, let's play the game because we're here to be the best. And I think that's the next mentality that Ose is going to start transferring into. And I could imagine that's probably like how Faker thinks. He's just like, if we want to be the best, doesn't matter who's playing, we just become the best. That's our goal.
Mm.
That should be the united goal. Let's make it work. And I think that's when the orgs are like, all right, well, let's try and get the right people in there. And that's when it would be like, hey, I work really well with this person. But then like, okay, sorry, we're actually going to go with this because of these fair reasons. If they give me a valid argument, I'd be like, yep, you know what, fair enough. That's an argument I'd have to go along with. At the end of the day, it's your call. I've given you my recommendation. I want you to just take that into stride. And if, as long as they do that, I'd be pretty happy with an org that does that too. But yeah,
I agree.
that's just me. That's my hot take. I guess I'm looking at a future OS that's like 10 years down the line that I want it to be now. And that's probably not really what we're after right yet. But that's okay. That's okay. We're getting there. Slowly but
We are
surely.
getting there. With your help, Pike, we'll get there.
One day, man, one day I dream of a brighter Oceania, and I will get us there. If it's the white of my smile or the shining brightness of my hair, I will get us there.
Oh, those thick, muscular arms. Sorry, what?
Mate, we're talking about your arms, though, right?
No, mate. Look at those
Well,
trunks you got. Sheesh.
nah, mate. Nah, that's the old gams. The old gams. They're the old trunks. Now, Styx, it is actually the end of the show, but we always end on another little fun game. Are you excited for the next one?
I didn't even know what the next game is, so yeah,
You've
let's
never
do
watched
it.
one of my episodes, have you?
I haven't watched to the end. No, I usually I watch a decent chunk of them, but you know, like, dude, I'm ADHD, bro. I can't
Same.
finish an
Same,
hour
man.
long
That's why
video.
I can only do an hour. After an hour, my brain's turning off. I'm just like, so I could be in a league game in like 5 minutes if I worked hard enough. Like that's. But no, you can see I'm already thinking about it. No, the next game, Sticks, is called Pub or Sub. Funnily enough, this is I'll put a 20-second timer on the screen for you. Nice, and look how dirty that screen is. Disgusting.
Lovely.
But basically, I'm going to shoot out some rapid fire questions at you. You're just going to give me the best answers you can give me in 20 seconds. Once that time is done, if I like those answers, you can either get a pub or a sub. So the pub is at the next major like esports event, like DreamHacks. I'm not going to PAX this year, unfortunately, so I can't do that one. But like,
Oh man, I'm going to
I'm
PAX.
sorry, man. I'm going to Japan.
Okay, I guess I can respect it.
Yeah, like I'm going to
Fine.
Japan for like 3.5 weeks almost. It's gonna be
Okay,
awesome.
you lucky dog.
Yeah, I'm gonna be spending a lot of money, but fuck yeah, Japan. But no, like the next major event, I'll buy you a drink, any drink you
Alright.
want. Shanfire decided to go with like a blue Gatorade,
Mhm.
or you can get a sub, and I'll gift you a sub to my Twitch channel, as I know you're a regular. Free drinks,
Okay.
baby.
Cool. Cool.
Most people pick the drink. Costs a bit more too. It's very upsetting. But but still, Sticks, are you ready for pub or sub?
I am ready for Pablo Sub.
I'm gonna be able to press that button. All right, and I'll ask the first question, then I'll start the timer. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Sticks, the theme of today's questions is cars. Are you ready?
Okay, yeah.
What is your dream car?
Uh, BMW M2 competition.
Have you ever sped while driving?
Yes.
How many times?
No comment.
No. Do I need to call the police?
They may have already been involved.
Have you ever been in a crash?
Yes, but it was not my fault.
Okay. Well, you answered all the questions. I wanted to do car related because I know your family's very big into cars. And I was
Yes,
like, oh, I
yes
want to know
they
what
are.
his dream car is. But you know what? I loved those answers, Sticks. Congratulations. You
Thank
won
you.
pub or sub.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Wow.
I'm pretty sure everyone wins. But mate, what would
Oh,
you
how
like,
do you know
pub or
that?
sub? What?
How do you know everyone wins?
Because I get to determine the winner. Like,
Maybe you really don't like someone's answers though.
if someone came on and literally gave me like one-word answers, I'd be like, that was shit. Like, get the fuck off my screen. No, what would you like, mate? You get a sub or you get a drink?
We'll go with the drink. We'll go with the more expensive one.
Let's do it. You get to choose that drink whenever you deem it. You literally just get to come up to me and say, Pike, I want a drink. I'll be like, all right, done. Let's
All
go.
right, you can just buy me a beer. Just buy me a beer.
Done. We'll do it. I'll take you
Easy.
to Fortress.
All right.
We'll go play
go.
a cute game. You know the drumming game?
Yeah,
Arcade?
yeah.
Go
In
do
the
that,
arcade,
we'll
yeah.
have a drink together. How's that sound?
All right, bet. Sounds good.
Well, thank you so much, Styx. Really appreciate you coming on, man. It's been an absolute delight. It's the first interview I haven't actually really stuck to League, which is really refreshing. We can talk about anything we want. But, mate, again, thank you so much. Good luck to you and Ion moving forward this split. I can't wait to see how you guys do. I am predicting, I'm going to say it here first, I'm going to put you at third.
Thank you. Wow. Okay, third. Yeah, I definitely think third's possible for us. So
Awesome.
thank you for your vote of confidence.
I got you,
And
man.
yeah, thank you for having me on here. It's been a blast.
Man, it's been an absolute pleasure. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I have been Papa Pike, and we'll see you on the next adventure.